when Germany faced the full weight of American military power. The final weeks of April 1945 saw an astonishing sight on the Western Front. German soldiers were surrendering at an unprecedented rate. 59,000 men per day laying down their arms and entering American captivity. Entire army groups, once the conquerors of Europe, simply dissolved. Imagine that number. The population of a small city every single day walking away from the war. Some units surrendered fully armed, their vehicles still running. Others, starved and exhausted, emerged from forests, desperate to surrender to Americans rather than Soviets. The once mighty Wehrmacht was collapsing faster than the Allies could process the prisoners. Field Marshal Walter Model, commander of Army Group B, understood. Rather than surrender his command, he discharged his youngest and oldest soldiers, then walked into a forest near Dusseldorf and took his own life. He grasped that Germany had been crushed by an industrial and military colossus it never believed possible. The German war machine of 1939 to 1941 was formidable, with blitzkrieg tactics, superior training, and battle-hardened veterans. Their officers had learned from WWI, building an army for rapid, decisive victory. But from North Africa to the heart of the Reich, German commanders watched in horror as American forces grew into an unstoppable juggernaut. They had catastrophically underestimated the full productive capacity of the United States, totally mobilized for war. They were facing not just an army, but an entire industrial civilization weaponized against them. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, the legendary Desert Fox, first encountered American troops at Kasserine Pass in February 1943. His initial assessment was cautious. The Americans were green, poorly led, and easy to rout. But Rommel knew English-speaking nations learned fast. He noted that in Tunisia, the Americans paid a stiff price for experience, but it brought rich dividends, showing advanced tactical handling. What haunted Rommel most were the skies. "Anyone who has to fight against an enemy in complete command of the air," he wrote, "fights like a savage against modern European troops." He saw supply columns burn, tanks destroyed by fighter bombers. By Normandy, he reported that the enemy's tremendous superiority in artillery and even more in the air had broken the front. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, Commander-in-Chief West, made his famous reply to Wilhelm Keitel on July 1, 1944, when asked what to do about German losses in Normandy. "Make peace, you fools! What else can you do?" Rundstedt identified three causes of German defeat: the unheard-of superiority of your air force, lack of motor fuel, and the systematic destruction of railway communications, two directly linked to American air power. Albert Speer, Hitler's Minister of Armaments, watched American bombers systematically dismantle his ability to fight. When ball-bearing factories were hit, he called it a nightmare getting true. But it was the attacks on synthetic fuel that truly terrified Speer. Germany had no significant domestic oil production, relying on vulnerable synthetic plants. After the first American raids on May 12, 1944, Speer warned Hitler, "If they persist at it this time, we will soon no longer have any fuel production worth mentioning." By June, aviation gasoline losses were 90%. His nightmare was reality. General Fritz Bayerlein, commanding the Panzer Lehr Division, described Operation Cobra on July 25, 1944. His elite division sat under 1,500 American heavy bombers. The bombers came as if on a conveyor belt. My front lines looked like a landscape of the moon, and at least 70% of personnel were out of action, dead, wounded, crazed, or numb. He called it hell. The Panzer Lehr, one of Germany's finest, ceased to exist as a fighting force that day. General Adolf Galland, Germany's general of fighters, reported devastating losses to Hermann Göring in mid-1944. Our daytime fighters lost over 1,000 pilots. The time has come when our weapon is in sight of collapse. He emphasized that planes can be rebuilt, but men cannot be made. Goering himself reportedly acknowledged the turning point when American P-51 Mustangs first appeared over Berlin in March 1944. The Luftwaffe could no longer defend the Reich. German troops in Normandy coined the term Jabodud, death by fighter bomber, due to constant attacks from American P-47 Thunderbolts. A captured German POW marched past vast American supply dumps, succinctly summarized, "I know how you defeated us. You piled up the supplies and then let them fall on us." The journey from American inexperience to overwhelming dominance began painfully. The Battle of Kasserine Pass in February 1943 was a humiliating defeat, but the recovery was swift. Major General Lloyd Friedendahl was replaced by George S. Patton,